Now you might have come across the term of ABSR, and it's also referred to as sales rank or book rank when it comes to Amazon KDP. And this can be confusing for some newer authors. So in this video, I'm going to break down what it is, what exactly it means, where to find it, as well as the 5 reasons why it's imperative for us to know the ABSR or to track the ABSR of our own books, as well as know the ABSR of our competitors' books. And even if you already know what ABSR means, watch to the end of the video because I can almost guarantee you that you'll discover something new that you didn't know before, something that you can apply to your book marketing. And if you didn't, then just give the video a thumbs down. All right, so let's get into what it is and what it means. So ABSR stands for Amazon Bestseller Rank. And just like golf, the lower the better. So for example, a book that is ranked number 1 or has an ABSR of number 1 is the top selling book on all of Amazon. And there's 2 different categories. There's the ABSR sort of thread of the Kindle books, and then there's the ABSR of the actual physical books. And by looking at this ABR, and it's completely public knowledge, and I'll get into it in just a moment and how to find it, but you can use this ABR to gauge how well a book is doing. So what you can do is you can take that ABSR, use one of the 2 calculators that I've linked down below. You select either a Kindle or a physical book. You type in the ABSR and it spits out an estimated their estimated sales per day within that 24-hour period. And with each sale of your book, the ABSR, and it's sort of counterintuitive, like the lower the better. So a book at the ABSR of 20,000 is selling a lot better than a book with the ABSR of 1 million or 100,000 even. And it looks kind of funny when you look at it. So just like this graph or this chart right here, where you see the ABSR jumping, or in this case lowering, but it jumps up and then slowly goes back down with each sale. Okay, now let's get into how to find it. And this is actually going to be a lot easier explained on the computer. So let's jump into that. Okay, so where to find the ABSR? And there are 3 places that I'm going to be mentioning. The first place is the easiest by far and sort of the most obvious and where people get most of the ABSR data from. So this is a typical product page found on Amazon. Note that we have our Kindle selected here. So remember we talked about this 2 separate paths of ABSR, and there's a 3rd one as well, the Audible Originals. But I don't really talk so much about Audible because, one, I don't really have that much of experience with it, and there's a lot of people that haven't really gotten into Audible yet, myself included. Eventually I will. But note that, remember, we have Kindle, we have the 2 categories, the Kindle and the paperback. So with the Kindle selected, we're going to see our ABSR of the Kindle version of this book. So if we scroll down here past the books in this series, past the sponsored products related to this item, past the also bots, past everything else about the notes from the author, editorial reviews, all that sort of stuff, you'll see a subheading here of product details. So this is where we see it right here. So BSR. So it's ABSR, BSR, sales rank, book ranking. It's all the same thing. So we can see here this one is 729 in the Kindle store. So they are doing very, very well. So if we go to our book calculator here and we select Kindle books, we can type in 729, click here. So this book is selling on average 125 books per day, which is, I mean, this book is absolutely killing it, just completely doing awesome. So if we want to see the ABSR of the paperback, we click on paperback, make sure that's selected. Scroll down and we could see here that it's 162 in books. So if we go over to books here and we select books, hit try again, 100,000 essentially. It's selling 1 paperback book a day. So if we were making conclusions here and we are sort of deciding, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself a little bit here in terms of why this is beneficial for us to know. So this book is absolutely killing it in Kindle, but paperback, they're not doing so well. So if we were going to get into this niche, we could make a good assumption that books in this niche are selling much, much better digitally, the ebook version, than they are for paperback. So that's one reason, but I'm sort of getting ahead of myself here. So that's one way you can find the ABSR. The second way is a little bit more advanced. and that requires a Chrome extension. So you obviously need the Chrome browser for this, and this is a completely free extension. I'll link this down below, but it's called DS Amazon Quick View. And once you add it to your Chrome, this is what it does. So this is an example. I'm in the mystery thriller, mystery police procedurals category, and if I scroll down here, normally, like I just showed you, you'd have to click on the actual products themselves to see their ABSR. Not so with this Chrome extension, and this, I think, it was going to save a lot of people time. It shows up right here, so it shows the ASIN, and then it shows the actual BSR. So you don't actually have to click on the product. You could just see every product's BSR while you're scrolling down. Now, there are some limitations. That only works for Amazon.com only, but it is a huge time saver. And the third way is for finding just our own BSR. And that is through Amazon Author Central account. So you might be wondering, how can we find out our BSR and the history of our BSR? So with that, we go over to our Amazon Author Central account, and we click on our books, and we click on View Historical Data and All Available. And we could see here that spike. Every time there's a sale, it spikes up, which is lower in sales rank, and then slowly goes down. Once there's another sale, it goes up and slows down. And you can pick your Kindle and the paperback versions here. Okay, now let's get into the 5 reasons why. You might be thinking, this is all good and great, but what am I going to do with this information? Why do I need to care about what other books and what my ABSR is? Well, here are 5 reasons. One reason is to set expectations and goals for ourselves. So there's a lot of people that say, a lot of coaching clients that I work with, and they say, I want to sell 100 books a day. And well, I can appreciate the lofty goals, but 100 books a day is very difficult. So it's very helpful to look at this ABSR, the best books in your category, the best books, for the keywords that you're trying to rank for, and be like, okay, these are the players that I'm up against. How many books do they sell? And you can make goals off of that. If you're in a category and you're against Kendra Elliott and you're in the mystery series, and you realize through research that she's selling 20 books a day or 30 books a day on Kindle with a certain book, or maybe even more, can you compete consistently with that? Can you get up to that point of 20, 30 books a day? Can you compete against someone with that sort of weight behind them and traditionally published? Maybe eventually, yeah, you could certainly spike up to that point, but to spike and to stay there, it's going to be a tough go. It's going to be a really tough go. So the first reason is to really set expectations and goals. And what you really want to do is try to find books that are more realistic, that you could target and reach. Those books are typically other self-published books, and with a similar type of cover and a similar blurb. And this goes into whole research, and I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's really good for setting goals and expectations. The next one is how many books it takes to become a bestseller in a category. So when you look in a category, and let me just transition back over to here. So if we're looking in a category here and we want to become a bestseller, and we have a mystery police procedural in books. So remember, there's different categories, for a category stream for Kindle and a category stream for books. But let's say we want to become a best-selling author in books, mystery, police procedurals. What will it take to get to bestseller status? We could see here in books is a little bit complicated because they have Audible thrown in there and they have paperbacks as well. But we could say here the top book in this category is number 36. So let's look at books here. 36. So yeah, we need to sell 526 books. 526 books within a 24-hour period to become a bestseller in this category. So we might want to rethink. Let's take let's stay in this category because you get up to 10 categories, which I'll make another video about as well eventually. But yeah, we could stay in this category, which you will be useful, especially when you do free book promotions. But the chances of us getting bestseller status in this category, again, I don't want to quash anyone's, lofty expectations and goals, but to be realistic, this is not realistic for 99.9% of the people out there. But if you want to go for it, yeah, go for it. Absolutely. But, on another example here would be bestsellers in the automotive industry. This is the Kindle store, Kindle ebooks, business and money industries, automotive industry. So this isn't really the sexiest, in my opinion, type of book to write. I certainly would not write a book about this. I have almost no interest in this. But you could see here, the number one book is only ranked at 61,000. So this is a Kindle, 61,000. So they're only selling 4 books a day, which really isn't much. So that goes back to our expectations. So if you are, writing something in this category and you plan on selling 20 or 30 books a day, you might, if there's no other books doing it, chances are you're probably not going to get there. But the good news is you're very easy to get bestseller status on the Amazon.com site. So that's sort of a benefit for this category. The next reason why it's beneficial is to find books to emulate or target with our ads. And I'm not going to talk too much about this, but when I coach people, I send them through an exercise with an Excel spreadsheet and a bunch of work and homework to do before we start working on our book cover and our blurb and start doing Amazon ads. But what it does is get people in there to determine, yes, this book is a book that is successful in my niche, so I'm going to try and emulate this, versus finding books that are at 1 million or 2 million or 3 million ABSR. We don't want to emulate those because they're not really successful. We want to emulate the most successful in our genre. So this helps you determine which ones are and which ones aren't. Next reason is whether it's a book worth writing or not on that topic. So this leads more towards writing to market, the commercial type of side, finding where there might be a need and a want and supply and demand and so on. So for example, again, going back to the, let me go back here, the automotive industry, would I, commercially, would it make sense for me to go out there, do the research, or hire a ghostwriter, get it all packaged up to sell 4 books a day, 4 Kindle books a day? No, absolutely not. And I could do, more research and go into how many paperback books do they sell a day and check out the ABSR of that. But very, very little interest in this actual niche, so I'm not going to do that. But that's something you could do as well. So yeah, this is more leaning towards, let me transition back, leaning more towards people who write to market, who are thinking of writing in a very, very small niche. Like another good example is home organization or decluttering. A lot of people, or budgeting or something like that, look through those categories and be like, okay, what are the top budgeting books, and are they selling at a good rate? Is it worth me, spending all that time and energy to write that whole book and to get it packaged and professionally edited and all that sort of stuff if I'm only going to sell a couple of books a day? That's just an example. I haven't looked into those categories, but if you are thinking about writing into that, that is an excellent way to, again, going back to setting goals and expectations for ourselves. And the last and final benefit is to track our overall advertising efforts. So you might be sending a bunch of ads there. You might be, Amazon ads, which I really like because you can track all that sort of stuff. But you might be sending Facebook ads and BookBub ads, and they don't give you any sort of data. Or you might be, doing blog tours or podcasts and all that sort of stuff. A lot of these things you can't track the efforts of each individual marketing effort. But what you can do is track your ABSR to see how well your marketing efforts are paying off. Of course, you can track your sales as well, so that's another way. But the ABSR gives you that hard number that you can actually track. So that's it. That is what ABSR is, what it means, how to find it, and why it's beneficial for us to actually know. So let me know. I did say at the top of the video, even if you already know what ABSR is and what it stands for, did you learn something new? Was this helpful? Did you not know what ABSR was in the first place? Is this going to be changing your marketing efforts and the way you look at Amazon and books on Amazon? I sure hope it does, because this really is beneficial. If you get into marketing, this is really one of the first baby steps that you need to know to actually do marketing in an effective way. Either way, let me know. Comment down below. Like it if you found it useful. Dislike it if you learned nothing at all. But regardless, I'm glad you watched to the end. I'll see you in the next one.